I wasn't aspiring to be an entrepreneur, and I never thought that I would be one, honestly. The truth is, for the first few years, you don't have actually the freedom of time. And then mentally, you're constantly just thinking about solving problems, worrying about the business. You never had a break. And it's really quite consuming to the extent where you start to realize you're not taking care of yourself. At the end of the day, it's really not easy.
Hey friends, welcome to the Creator in Progress podcast. I'm your host, Hailey Lim. Each episode will bring you inspiring stories and practical advice from both successful and budding creators and entrepreneurs on how they got to where they are today. Meet Hailey, the co-founder of Fashion Makerspace in Singapore, a place where people can learn, share, and explore their passion for sewing and fashion design.
Yeah, you'll never know until you try it on your own. And that's the reason why we always have like this starter class to let people try. No commitment. You'll find out yourself, what sewing is.
Hailey takes us on a journey through the intricate world of sewing, highlighting the power of teaching and sharing. She's on a quest to break the stereotype that sewing is just for the older generation.
Like, this is also one of the things that I hope to spread awareness. Like, sewing is not just a pastime hobby.
But that's not all. Hailey shares invaluable insights on the ins and outs of entrepreneurship, offering nuggets of wisdom on how she successfully manages her business. Enjoy the conversation. This episode is co-produced by SCAPE. Firstly, I think before we dive into the details, right, I really want to get to know a little bit more about you and tell me more, like, how did you get started with your sewing studio and what really inspired you to take this entrepreneurial path?
Okay. So I'm Hailey. I'm one of the co-founder of Fashion Makerspace. To be very frank, my business partner, Shireen, is the brainchild of the business.
Okay.
She was actually very inspired by the American sewing community. When she was a fashion design student studying there, she saw how helpful the community is. She saw like how everyone is just so open to sharing sewing tips. And it's just much more common to see girls, all sorts of age or profiles, knowing how to sew, and which is quite fascinating for her because, like you mentioned, not everyone in Singapore really did a proper sewing project on their own, except in probably in secondary school. Yeah. So she's just very fascinated by it, and she just want to bring that spirit back in Singapore because she really, truly also believed that sewing can be fun. Yeah. So we actually met as ex-colleagues. Oh. Yeah, we were ex-colleagues working as designers, and then she was the one who put me into the business. So that's how it started. I think so that's the truth actually. I wasn't aspiring to be an entrepreneur, and I never thought that I would be one, honestly. But personally, the reason why I agreed to do this along with her, it was really more for survival. Yeah, the truth is the industry in Singapore is really very tough as a fashion design graduate. I hope to do a job where I can really explore my skills. I really want to do literally sewing, literally designing. I don't want to do merchandising or, so a buyer job, etc. That wasn't something that I wanted to do, which is actually quite common for a lot of fashion design graduates. Yeah, because that's where you can find career progression. Yeah, so before I was doing this, yes, I was working for people for a few years, a few companies for a few years, and that's when I felt honestly a bit demoralized. Yeah, and I just felt like, oh no, like where is this going? Am I gonna continuously do what I'm doing for the next 5 or 10 years? And I was starting to be very worried for my future. Yeah. And when my colleague, Shireen, when she asked me whether am I keen to join her, it was just like, oh, sure. I really love the technical aspect of being a fashion designer. And if I can teach people and people love learning, then I'll be more than happy to share. Yeah. So that's how it started for myself. Yeah. Then, just now when you were saying about, the impression of, doing a sewing business, it's quite funny because it's very, very common whenever, I take a Grab, and then Grab driver will ask, kippo and ask like, oh, what do you do? Why are we going to this place? Then I will just explain, oh, that's where my office is. We teach sewing for a living. And it's always quite funny. And they will always ask like, aren't you too young to teach him a sewing? Like, huh? Or some people will even say like, sewing also need to learn meh? So you still get those kind of stereotypes. Yeah. So actually, I feel like this is also one of the things that I hope to spread awareness. Like, sewing is not just a old people hobby or just a pastime hobby. That skill set can be really fun. There's really, really a lot of 3D, 2D thinking. There's a lot of physics behind as well, mathematics skills also.
Really?
Yeah, and these are things that most people didn't expect. Yeah, but you'll never know until you try it on your own.
Correct.
Yeah. And that's the reason why we always have like this starter class to let people try. No commitment, you just come and play around, get your hands dirty, you do it yourself, and then you find out yourself, what sewing is really. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, it's quite interesting. I never, it just never really occurred to me. Like maths, like why? Because you need to measure and like...
not just measuring, but how you divide the measurements and put it in a 2D form. And then, but knowing that eventually it's going to be a 3D form instead. Yeah, so it's a bit 3D modeling. So for those who ever encounter or like, your interior designer who needs to do sketches and stuff like that, they probably can understand as well. A lot of things we thought that, it's just as simple as just it's 100 and here is 100, etc. But you got to take, you have to take consideration of the 3-dimensional space, etc. And how gravity pulls your fabric, all this. Yeah, so that is the part where that a lot of people didn't know. And I think, so let me just share with you a bit of my past experience. How, from a very, very small team, it was really just between me and Shireen and our customers. How from that, we grow to a company where we start to teach in a few local girls' schools also.
Okay.
Yeah. So I think it really started from our customers, whereby we really started a very, very small group. It, in fact, started off with me doing as a part-time with her. So I was still doing my full-time job while, I juggle this part-time gig with her. And then, so it was a weekend thing. It started off with just Saturday. And then slowly, I quit my job. And then slowly, I started to do it full-time. And then slowly, it becomes 7 days a week. And then, so we start to grow more. We have more customers. We start to know more people as well. And that's when our students started to notice that sewing actually really can train one person's psychomotor skills. And they think that this sort of exercises could be really, really good for child development. Okay. Yeah, so I think it really, really trickled a few principals, a few teachers, and then that's when they start to help us promote to their own schools, and then that's how we get into the schools, and then we start to teach them like a holiday course. Yeah, there was one story quite cute. The principal really wanted us to go and teach the young ladies how to sew because, pinafore, they have the belt, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and apparently the hook comes off quite easily.
Okay.
And then the principal says it's very, very common nowadays. If the hook comes off, they'll just buang and buy another one. Yeah, it's a very common practice. And I think they can just get it like a few dollars from the bookshop, which the principal think is a waste of money. So she wanted us to teach the young ladies how to sew because the parents don't know how to sew. Yeah, so we got to teach the young ladies how to fix their own uniform to avoid the throw and buy culture, especially. Not just uniforms, but I'm very, very sure nowadays a lot of young girls, buy fashionable stuff and then wear a few months, throw, buy another one, it's actually quite common.
Yeah.
And so these are some of the things that inspire some of the professionals out there. Yeah.
Yeah, quite interesting. Yeah, I wish I also knew a little bit more. I think of course I learned the basic sewing and home ec. But I wish this was something they taught us because, like you said, it's very wasteful to keep throwing things away, right? So like in a sense also saving the environment and materials and stuff like that.
Yeah. Actually, fashion industry is one of the biggest contribution to the world's waste. Yeah. It's just, And it's very, very common for us to wear polyester made clothes. Yeah, so anything in polyester is just very, very, very hard to disintegrate back to earth. Yeah, so it's just piling and piling and piling. But yeah, that's one of the biggest problems that the fashion industry is facing, actually. Yeah.
Okay. So yeah, I mean, I was reading through your website and all that, right? I think one of the things you were talking about is like doing social good.
Oh.
So is this one of the things you're doing to, I guess, educate people a bit more about the wastage and like how can we start being more thoughtful about reusing our things and throwing, like, I mean, even for me, like my shoes and all that, right? I'll bring to the uncle at, like there was an uncle at Holland V. He will help to mend stuff, right? Like, instead of throwing, think of using it for long or repairing it.
I think also in the recent years there are more demands from all the way from corporate companies to private individuals asking us to teach more upcycling courses. Yeah, so I think it's good that people are a little bit more aware, and there is such demands also. So thankfully recently people are also asking for it, so we can really teach and recommend, what can you do? What can you upcycle from, a old shirt to probably a top, another top, or turning your denim jeans into a bag, etc. Yeah, so this is something that I think, thank goodness, like it's not just us trying to help the world or the environment. I think it really starts with the whole group of mass market. You couldn't just keep within the fashion industry. That's one. Yeah, we teach people how to do upcycling classes. But the other one that we are actually very proud to share is that we teach people with special needs, specifically people with autism. Yeah, so it's really very nice to know that we can equip someone with real skills, so in hopes that they can really use the skill to find like sewing jobs for themselves. Because the group of people that we are teaching, some of them are because of their own personal needs, they can't go out and work. So the job has to come to them. Yeah, so it's nice to know that we have been doing this for a few years already. If I'm not wrong, it's 3-4 years around there. Yeah, so we have a few batches of graduates already, and some of them are really, really doing sewing as a living now. So they earn salary through this sewing course, and that is something that we are really, really very happy to hear, because if it's not for this initiative, right, they are probably just stuck at home. Yeah, and they're just, parents are also trying to fill up their time, thinking what they can they do, bring more purpose to their life, etc. So yeah, this is also another thing that we are quite proud to share.
It's so meaningful.
Yeah.
How did you guys think of it? Like,
So it started off with we were doing some gig at some fair, and Denise Phua, our MP, actually noticed us, and she was the one who approached us and came to our booth, and she was asking, how do you all feel about teaching people with autism? So she was the one who approached us and asked us if we're keen, and that's how it all started. Yeah, so I think a lot of the opportunities, honestly, that we have are really through meeting people, really, through putting yourself out there, and then knowing more customers, knowing more friends, knowing more associates. And then that's how it really, really grew for us. Yeah, from spreading it to schools, to autism resource centers, to corporate events, etc. Yeah,
like different channels, but
so we don't just teach in our own premise now. Yeah.
You still go out a lot to different
Offsite
places.
teaching.
And I saw you have like quite a few folks on your team, right? So it's not only just you teaching, it's
Yeah. So now we have roughly a team of around 10 people.
wow.
Yeah, a few teachers, a few the business teams such as our admin, our accounting, blah blah blah. Yeah.
Oh wow.
Yeah, and this is also another thing that I feel I can share as a friend. Yeah, to also a fellow boss to be.
Yes, please, I will take any advice.
I really, really, really think that having a strong team is very important.
Yes.
I really 100% believe in that. Like, I have no idea how and why some bosses are so mean to their employees. It's just something that I really cannot comprehend. Yeah, because it's been actually 8 years that I've been doing this. So I really have people come and go. I've met quite a few different kinds of colleagues. And I know how is it like to have the correct people in your team. And especially, I know it's very, very important that you take care of your staff also. Yeah, because I feel that energy will reciprocate back to you. Yeah, and it has to start from you. Like, you cannot expect them to give everything and then you don't take care of them.
Correct.
Yeah, so I'm very grateful for my current teammates. To me, it's never I'm the boss and they're the staff. I really think it's a teamwork, and we are where we are today is because of this wonderful girls also.
Yeah. So I'm curious to know, how did you know, like, okay, I mean, because initially you started off with Shireen and you, right? How did you know, like, okay, we should hire someone now? Were there ever thoughts of, okay, let's scale slowly. If we're making profit, then we hire? Or was it like from the beginning, okay, I think we just hire first, then we make that as an investment, then we scale? Because like for me, right, I still do my own editing for my own YouTube channel and all that. That's because number one, I'm a bit fussy. I need to have the control over what I want to do, right? But also, I think a big part of it is I can't bear to spend the money to hire someone to do it, so letting go lah.
Okay.
So yeah, curious to know what.
For myself.
Yeah.
So for us, it has always been a very humble start. So we didn't start off the business with huge capital, to be very frank. It was really just from, actually there's a total of 3 of us. So the 3 of us just park a bit of money and then we just grow from that small savings. Yeah, so it started from demands actually, I think. Yeah, so it was just Saturday classes first, and then we started to have people asking, can you do weekdays as well? And then we're like, okay, let's do weekday. And then we start to teach on weekday. That's when I quit my full-time job. And then from weekday, then there is a need to do nighttime as well. And then Saturday and Sunday, etc. And then that's when we realized, no, we cannot do 7 days a week. Yeah, then that's when we realized, we need help. But the first help we had was actually administrative matters. We need somebody to control the sales. So we actually started off with part-time first. And then after that, we had someone, and then with that person offloading all this tasks for us, we could focus on bringing in money. Yeah. And then after that, once we reached another stage again, we realized, oh shoot, the numbers of invoices is coming more and more. So then that's when we realized, we need more trainers. So part-time trainers again. So we started off with a few part-timers. And then after that, we slowly grow to that revenue, whereby it's healthy for us to pay someone with decent salary and CPF. Then that's when we convert some of them to full-time. And then we start to hire more full-time like that. Yeah, so it's quite slow. Yeah, unlike other businesses that I've heard and seen. I do think if you have the capital, yes, you could expedite things, but that isn't something that me and Shireen is comfortable with, to be honest. So we're quite humble and we're quite careful as well. Yeah, so we did small baby steps like this for us.
Calculated risk. I mean, not even a risk, right? It's just like calculated investment, I would say. Yeah, and I think it makes sense. And obviously it has paid off.
Yeah, now I feel we are at a stage where we really, really, we've seen some very good examples of how people, like bigger companies, run their corporate business. there are proper corporate setups, processes, all the way to staff welfare. And I think we are at a stage where we are learning how to get out from the budding stage also. Yeah. So we shall see. I think it's a never-ending lesson, or we're just constantly learning also and trying to improve as a boss also, I feel. Yeah.
And of course, I'm also curious to know, because COVID
I-
obviously was a very tough time for most businesses, right? So,
Yeah.
and also I remember, during that time, no one could go out and things like that, right? So how did it affect your business, and how did you navigate or pivot through that time?
Okay, so we are considered as the non-essential group.
Okay.
Yeah, just like all the gyms and yoga studios. So we are not allowed to operate any physical classes for 3 months. Yeah. And back then there is also this law that unless you are the boss of the business, otherwise you're not allowed to go out and work as well. So and we have to just try to turn our business. We try to implement more digital classes, either do via Zoom or we start recording ourselves, teach people through Instagram or YouTube, etc. Trying every single thing we can think of and digitalize our business. Yeah, it's very hard for us because it's, after all, sewing.
Yeah.
So it's actually really, it's something that most people, even for my customers, even as much as I want to turn my business digital, but my learners actually really, really prefer if the teacher can be next to them, controlling their hand gesture, advising how to improve, etc. Because it's such a tactile skill. Yeah, it's just so hard to do it through the camera. Yeah. So it was really, really tough because not everybody has sewing machine as well. Yeah, so even if I want to sell my service, not everybody has sewing machine. So back then, as mentioned, my staff are actually not allowed to go out and work, right? So only me and Shireen, it's legally allowed to actually travel to deliver sewing machine to our customers. So so back then it was I have to really engage all my family, my husband, because I don't drive. So I have to trouble my family members, and then they will drive me around, and I would have to deliver sewing machines. Especially for a condo, you have to go through security and then everything, and carry the box of sewing machine around. Yeah, it's to that extent. It's not just recording, production. Even this kind of material and stuff like that, we also have to pack and provide and deliver. It was really, really very bad. It was so stressful that we had to go through the phase where we had to do pay cut. So it's not, we didn't pay ourselves. All we wanted to focus on was that we are able to pay the full-timers. So it was that bad. Like, we didn't even pay ourselves, but we had to pay others. And then we had issue with the rents as well. So just nice, my lease was up, and then landlord wanted to take that opportunity to rise our rental, etc. And then we had to immediately after circuit breaker, we have to find a new place and move immediately. And it was there was just really like one after another, just another bad news. So customers are asking for refunds also. So definitely there's a very bad cash flow issue. And my anxiety was so high, grind my teeth until I broke my tooth.
Oh my goodness.
I had to do like tooth implant.
Okay, so I feel like your studio emphasizes a very creative space, very nurturing space, right? So I guess your target audience also is quite varied, right? Like some people are just learning, some people are very experienced, right? I guess how do you create the environment so that people are very like comfortable and they feel supported, and when they learn and create? And I think when we started also the podcast, you mentioned that Shireen and you started this because of like you guys wanted to build a community, and I do think now more and more everyone's trying to build a community. I'm trying to build a community also. But how do you, I guess, make people feel very like comfortable and supported as they learn?
I think it has to really, really start from the people, the one teaching. Yeah, so initially it was easy, right? It was just between me and Shireen. And both of us we just have such huge passion in what we do. Yeah, and I think that kind of spirit and energy it's obvious to the consumer also. It's obvious to your customer as well when the way we describe, the way we teach, because the enthusiasm, it's definitely different if you really love what you do. Yeah. So I think for the start, it was easy for us. It was never a problem for us to set up a nurturing environment for our learners. Yeah. But I think for the real situation is when we hire people and when we have people teaching as well. How do we make sure that our colleagues can teach with that same spirit, with that same belief, with that same passion? Yeah, that was something that's a little bit more tricky. Up until today, we are still quite involved with the operations side. We do teach also. Yeah, so once in a while, I'm in a room and then my colleagues also in another room. They can see how we teach. We can see how they teach as well. And I think that's also very important for your colleagues to constantly remind themselves like, oh, okay, this is what Fashion Makerspace is. Yeah. Yes, we are a profit organization, but apart from that, we are really not stingy with sharing knowledge. Yeah, so we really, so long you're a keen learner, so long you ask, we do share. And this is something that we advocate to our fellow colleagues also. And really, they are very nice girls also anyways. It wasn't hard for me to influence them in this way as well. Yeah, so not just the trainers, but even to the admin level as well. When they talk to our customer, when they sell classes as well, it's always from a very genuine ground.
Yes.
Yeah, and I think that's what makes people feel very comfortable with Fashion Makerspace. We don't really hard sell. And anyways, I really don't believe in hard selling as well. Because if your customers, they're feeling so about this, and if you sort of somehow encourage them to join, they will feel so towards learning as well. Yeah. So I feel unless if you are very sure and then you are willing to try, then okay, then you pay, then you join us. Yeah. Otherwise, we don't force you.
Yeah. Agree on the whole hard selling thing. Yeah, I feel like if I were to go approach clients and stuff, it's based on, I think a lot of it is and I really don't like the word networking, but I think it's based on like relationship, right? Like, can I trust this person to, number one, does my business have this need, right? Number two, do I trust this person enough to trust their work? That sort of thing. And then of course then you gain credibility and all that also. But I think very much it's like the vibes, right? But sometimes, you can get the vibes wrong also, right? Like, this person can talk, but sometimes the vibes are good, but the work doesn't show for it.
Yep.
Yeah. So I guess it still takes
100%. Yeah.
Takes time to see also these sort of things.
It's really quite common that people behave differently in front of the boss, and then another kind behind the boss. And sometimes you're blinded and you don't see it. So that's when you really need to have regular group meetings and then check in with your staff, ask around, not for the sake of kipoing or not for the sake of performance review as well, but really genuinely want to make sure that they are really okay, and if their fellow colleagues are okay with each other as well. Just that I think that effort does matter. So that's something that I know where you're coming from. I know what you're trying to tell me. You do meet the wrong people along the way, but that's how we grow. So I've changed so many colleagues and associates as well, partners as well. But these are the experiences that teach us how to be stronger and be more selective.
Correct.
So we know how to judge better also.
It's a good lesson to learn, and it's always a tough conversation to have, I think.
I think human resources is so difficult.
So far you've shared with me about Fashion Makerspace and the journey so far, right? So curious to know what are some of your future plans and aspirations for the sewing studio. Any exciting developments or any projects you can share with us?
Number one, like as what I mentioned previously, like I think there's this stigma of like what sewing is. People have the tendency to think that it's an old person or a retiree hobby, and that is something that I will strive and continuously change. And I do hope to reach out to a bigger audience, because I think as of now, the company is only able to attract people who already has a fair amount of interest in art and design. Yeah, so I think we're a bit trapped, because these are the only people we can attract so far. And if we can somehow, spread the word, or spread the, the truth of the skill and what do you really get to learn out of this to a bigger audience, that is something that we are striving to do for the next few years. We do hope that it's a household name, where like Spotlight, like if you say Spotlight, everybody, okay, it's the place where you can get all your crafts and tools, We hope when people talk about Fashion Makerspace, they know, okay, it's a place where you can learn sewing skills, fun sewing skills, unlike your home ec experience.
Yeah, oh my gosh. I still remember home ec, I have to wear the hairnet or hair thingy.
Oh, I see.
I was like,
see.
Fun experience.
Yeah, and I have a few learners, they will tell me like how they find their home ec teachers usually are very fierce, very scary, like just do, don't ask. And that is absolutely something that we don't advocate. Yeah, so it's really a very friendly and fun environment. So we hope we can reach to that stage. Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
I will be here supporting you.
Thank you.
Okay, we're going to do something fun now. We'll do a rapid fire round of questions. So, what's your favorite sewing project that you've ever worked on?
Okay, I've recently sewn a wedding dress for my childhood friend. Yeah, so far that's my favorite.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. You sew your own wedding dress also, right?
Yeah, I sewn my own wedding dress as well.
Okay,
but hers is my favorite. Yes.
Okay, we'll put it in the.
It's always nice to dress someone else instead. I think it's very similar to hairdresser. It's nicer that you can serve for the others, and then when your customer is happy wearing it, that feeling is just shook. Yeah.
Okay. Do you do rompers and all that also, or is it just dress?
For adults and for kids, yeah. We do daily wear as well, like casual wear.
Okay.
Yeah.
What's one book, podcast, or resource that has greatly influenced your approach to entrepreneurship or creativity? No need to say my podcast.
No, I can tell you what, this is really honest, real story. There was one time I really went to Kino and I bought books about how to manage business, your especially how to set up a corporate organization, etc. And I bought it, and I was very excited to share this new purchase with my fellow 2 business partners.
Yes.
And then one of them, not Shireen, the other one, saw the book, and he immediately asked me, just, don't bother, don't waste time. And he just asked me just trust your instinct and go, just trust yourself, go with your instinct. There's no point reading a book. And I was like, what? And I'm the youngest in this group setting, by the way. And by the way, he is a very successful businessman. He owns a few businesses.
Okay.
And we're just one of his invested one. But I think where he's trying to teach me, it's not so much of the content of the book, but it's more of the reader, I think. Yeah. Because it's the same book, the same recipe, the same advice, right? It's really ultimately depends on how much this reader can comprehend and execute, and how applicable it is to your real situation, right? So I think for us, right, we really learn through learning from our mistakes. Yeah. So for our case, no, we never really had a guru. We never really had like someone to guide us. It was really just a lot of communication, a lot of like, hey, this is what happened, blah, blah, blah. You know, like, do we have consensus? Should we do this? And it was just like that. And we just have to grin and grind and then just keep going, keep trying. Method A, method B, method C. But of course, along the way, we met a lot of professionals. And then we start to ask friends like, oh, normally how do y'all do this and blah, blah, blah. So I think maybe perhaps not from a book, not from podcasts, but really real life stories from fellow friends, from a real professional working with, you know, other established businesses. Yeah, I think that's where we really learn our tips from.
Learn by doing lah, basically. Yeah. Okay. I'm like that also.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, because I think I'm trying to like view life as like an experiment. You know, like if I get it wrong, then okay lah. You know, I know better the next time. And I'm also the type who does better by doing it rather than like, I like to read and I like to learn about it, but
yeah,
no matter what, you still have to go out and apply those principles, right? Yeah, and I think that's the best way to really retain and learn and understand it, because everyone's businesses is also so different, right?
So no one size fits all.
Correct. So good to have theory, but I always believe in the practical
the execution.
Correct. Yeah, I feel a lot of people are missing the execution part. Can you leave our listeners with a final piece of wisdom or encouragement for those who are on their own journey of creativity and entrepreneurship?
Personally, I would advise everyone for those who choose to walk this path, to really seriously ask deep down in themselves, like, what is the real reason they are doing this? Yeah, is it for freedom? Is it for money? Is it because you really believe in the product that you want to sell or create? Yeah, because whatever that reason is, that is the answer that it will constantly remind yourself when things get difficult. Yeah, so that is the one that is going to fuel you like, no, this is the reason why I did this in the first place. This is the reason. So that is something that you really, really got to ask yourself deep down, what's the truth? You don't have to say this or explain this to other people, but this answer has to be reasonable enough for you to go through all the ups and downs, all the sacrifices. Yeah, because at the end of the day, it's really, really not easy. Yeah, and no one owes you, and yeah, you don't owe to anyone as well. So I think I just hope that whatever the reason is, it's a story that you're proud to share when you grow older. Yeah.
So find your why. Yeah, and like it really has to resonate with you, and like,
yeah, because personally that's what happened to me. Yeah. So whenever shit happens, it's always like, okay, this is the reason why I'm doing this in the first place. This is the reason. Yeah.
So you're rooted and grounded, and you know like why, and it's worth it.
Yes.
Wise words.
No. Yeah, because I feel, sidetrack a bit. I've heard people say things like, I'm doing this because I want to have my freedom. I cannot do 9 to 6, 5 days work week. That kind of routinous job structure, etc. It's just something that I do hear some people talk about. But the thing is, I feel freedom is very vague. There are many types of freedom. There are like financial freedom. There are like mental freedom. There are time freedom, etc. And I'll just share with you from my personal level. I'm not too sure this is appropriate to put inside, but like I've reached a stage in my life where I need to take care of my family, and specifically my dad and my mom. And it's really comforting to know that when they needed financial help, I was able to provide. And I was like telling myself, oh my God, thank goodness, I have savings. Thank goodness I could fork out the money immediately whenever my siblings need it. Yeah, because especially for my 2 dear sisters, they are the main caregiver to my parents. And the last thing I want is, not being able to help out my 2 sisters financially also. Yeah, so to me, that is one of the drive for me to work harder, like earn money so I can take care of my family. So I think there's always something that you have to pay or exchange when you want to control your own time. Yeah, there is something that has to be, compromised. Because, so yes, I get to control my own time. I get to decide what time I want to wake up, etc. But the thing is, the truth is, for the first few years, I never had enough sleep, right? Because my work hours 9 to even maybe 9, because I teaches at night as well. I'm constantly teaching. I have no time to do administrative matters. So end up, I have to do it when I reach home. So 10 all the way to sometimes 1 or 2 a.m. And then although, yes, I can get to choose what time to wake up, but the truth is I got to wake up early because I have my next class is at 9 a.m. the next day. Yeah. So you don't have actually the freedom of time. Yeah. And then mentally, you're constantly just thinking about solving problems, worrying about the business, worrying about your staffs. You never had a break. And it's really, really quite consuming to the extent where you start to realize you're not taking care of yourself. Yeah, because you're constantly thinking for other things, other people. Yeah, so that is something that I feel a lot of people also have to really... That's what I mean. Ask yourself deep down, really, what is it? Yeah. So this is just one example. Yeah.
I love it. I really, really love that. Thank you for sharing. So I think it's very true. I don't enjoy the 9 to 5. I think I really used to. And I was at Google. I enjoyed learning and like the people and all that. I still dream of it. But after that, when I really wanted to do my own video stuff, like on YouTube, right? I just kept thinking of it, and I just feel I don't have enough time to do it, that sort of thing. And then when I leave a stable job to do it, right, I have the freedom of time. But I find when I leave a 9 to 5, I work more. Like you said, I'm thinking about things all the time, like, how do I make this better? Do I have enough time to do this? Should I like scale this up, or should I like save the money, And then there's just so many other aspects to think about. It's like, when you're in a company, I feel it's like this much, right? It's like very, very minute. It's very, you worry about not one thing. Of course, you worry about multiple things, but it's in a very specialized thing, right? Yeah. But when you do your own business, like you have to worry about everything. Like everything. The business itself, the products, the people, the rent, so many things, and I'm slowly discovering new things about business that I didn't know. Even one thing, I was like, how do I like incorporate myself? Small things like that, I'm just like, okay, I'm learning something new now. And it's a good, like, interesting thing. But yeah, finances are something that's like, it's so painful, and I can't stop thinking about it to a point where, I do probably have to find like a job to make sure I can sustain all this. But to me, I would think this is still my full-time thing that I want to invest my
how to make it work.
Energy. Yes. But I still need the side income from something else lah. So I'm currently looking for that. But I also want to see how that experience, like, I can learn from it. So I'm looking for more stuff in like either like the career space or kind of like the YouTube space maybe, so I can learn some strategies and I can put it back into my business, Yeah, so how can it kind of like align nicely also lah. But
that's what I did also. My first few years, I have to have a side job to support what I do full time actually. Yeah.
What was your side thing?
Well, for my colleagues, they were working for the museum. They were doing some stitching the mannequins, etc.
Oh, okay.
Blah, blah, blah. So it pays well. Yeah. For myself, I've been doing dresses for people on the side.
Okay.
And, okay. So I just commission privately, and then that's how I fund for myself.
Got it. Okay.
Yeah. So yeah, I
side
did
hustle
that too.
for your side hustle, which is now the full hustle.
Yes. I went through that too.
Okay. Good to know that I'm not. You know, like sometimes I'm like, oh, I'm leaving the corporate world to like go and do this full time, and then suddenly I'm like, I'm going back to the corporate world to fund my full. Do you know what I mean? It's like a bit odd, right? When I tell people that, then sometimes I feel like, am I being true to myself? Because am I doing the right thing? You know, but I think I am, and it's very comforting to hear that you also. It's not like a so straight path, like financially also
Because I think maybe our path is quite similar. We grow our business a bit more careful, unlike some business type where they have a huge capital where probably can support you 1 year salary, etc. But not for my case actually. So yes, for the first few years, Fashion Makerspace wasn't the one that gives me money. I have to find money elsewhere. So I had to move the business and make sure this mechanic is running while I find money elsewhere. Because it's so young, you know, it's not bringing enough money, etc. This is, maybe perhaps it's similar, but I had to do that too.
Thank you for sharing, because it's very comforting to me, really.
Okay.
Thank you.
No worries. I honestly also feel like whenever I watch, you know, people talking about businesses, fellow entrepreneur bosses come up on the stage, make their big speeches, I very, very, very often find it too, it's too polished. Yeah, and I feel that kind of impressions. Sometimes I wonder, is it really, really healthy for you to say it like as though it's always so flowery, it's always so pretty, it's always so like wonderful. Yeah. And I just find that there isn't enough story out there to talk about the real deal, I feel. The dirty part, the scary part, the difficult portion, how much we actually really struggled until this thing worked. And that was something that I feel I personally didn't see enough. Yeah. So I'm very, very happy to talk to a fellow boss also and share the real deal.
Thank you. Like it truly is like very eye opening, because I feel like whoever I bring onto this show, so I'm very interested to know about their stories, because I see right through the years how they have, or even when I hear the story or when I talk to these people or talk to you all, right, can feel that's the vibe again. Like I can feel like very authentic, very like people who are really like hustling in the right way, you know, with a lot of what's the word? Is it very ethical? Like they know their principles. They're not gonna take the shortcut, you know, that kind of thing. So I guess those are the people I really admire. I really want to talk to. I really want to learn from. So thank you, Hailey, for taking the time. I really I appreciate it so much. And definitely. Before we end off, maybe we can share with our listeners where they can find you on the socials.
Okay. Please Google us, fashionmakerspace.com. Visit our website. We really have like different services for kids all the way to adults, even corporate events to school events as well. We'll be very, very happy to share with you what we really do in person.
Just Google them. And on Instagram, you have
yes,
Instagram?
we have Instagram as well. Just search Fashion Makerspace.
All right.
Yay.
Cool. Thank you, Hailey. I really appreciate you sharing all your life lessons. I'm very excited to see like where Fashion Makerspace is like headed
come to our space one day.
Yes.
I introduce my colleagues to you too.
Excited too. And thank you for your time. I really appreciate it.
Welcome.